stupid. Everybody's so stupid.
Good thing about doing comedy in Russia, you have captured audience.
You're stupid. Everybody's so stupid.
Comedy History 101.
Wait, no, it's start. I know something's going on over here.
Oh, you mean I nailed that perfect opening and now I'm going to have to do it again?
Yeah, dude. But this is part
After
of the...
nailing it?
No, dude, this is like part of the behind the scenes thing. The kids are going to love this. It's like super hipster.
Oh, it's like they're polished, but we're rough around the edges.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Good.
We're going pro with our
rolling.
amateurness.
I'm rolling, dude. I'm rolling.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to episode 2, if you've been keeping track of
Comedy History 101.
Ba-ba-ba.
Okay. Do we have? I guess do you need to get Do you have a stinger? We need a stinger, dude.
Well, apparently you didn't listen to episode 1, did you?
Oh, okay, didn't hear a stinger. Okay.
There's a stinger. Yeah. There's a sting dropped in. Okay. I am Harmon Leon, and with me is...
I'm Scott Kalanico, coming at you from Edinburgh, Scotland.
And this podcast, this very podcast that you are listening to with your ear listening devices, is all about kind of what the name says.
Comedy History 101.
Okay.
All right.
Well, no, I'm assuming that eventually we'll get on a roll with this. And it's always being around. So if you are listening, maybe jump in around minute 3. We're up to speed and we got the momentum going.
It's kind of like
it's always about a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to mention any names. There's some of those podcasts you skip forward. You know, there's like 10 minutes you have to skip forward through.
What the fuck are you talking about? Sorry.
Didn't say any names. I'm just saying. Skip forward.
But no, I think they have that. You know, like if we could just talk about our cats for like 10 minutes, then we know it's always going to be us talking about our cats.
Yeah.
And then you ease into it,
yeah,
you know?
Ease into it. But I don't have a cat. Do you?
I don't have a cat either now. Yeah. But today we have like a very interesting piece of comedy history, which, you know, weirdly, I only came across this about I would say a little bit over a month ago, and I never even knew this existed. If you're not familiar with Rutland Weekend Television, it's a series that Eric Idle did right after he was on Monty Python. So Monty Python's Flying Circus ended in 1974, and Eric Idle was the first Python to get his own TV show, and that TV show was Rutland Weekend Television. It lasted for 2 series, 1975 to 1976, and the premise was easy. It is basically, it's a small-town television show, which you can even go on to say kind of inspired SCTV. So it's kind of like the SCTV of its time. So each half-hour episode was essentially a day of programming in Rutland.
A very, very special welcome to the very, very first evening's viewing on Rutland Weekend Television. Tonight is a very, very special occasion.
And if you don't know what Rutland is, it's one of the smallest counties in England. And that name actually came from a joke that John Cleese did. And Eric Idle paid him £1 so he can use the name Rutland Weekend Television.
Wow, so I didn't realize... Okay, wait a minute. So I didn't know that was an actual for real county. That it is. I thought it was a made-up county, but no,
well,
it's a real one.
We do have a friend named Harriet who is from Rutland.
Is she from Rutland? Really? Okay.
Yeah, so the whole point of the TV show was that it was like it's a TV show based in Rutland. So the premise is they have no budget for their TV show, which in real life they had no budget for their TV show.
I think that was
it was produced. Yeah, it was produced by the BBC, but if you watch it, it's just basically it was filmed in like a room the size of my apartment, and like they had like 1 day to film it, for filming. And they basically, every day, Eric Idle said they would have to go. It was on the 4th floor of their studio. So when it was time to film, they had to carry all the sets and furniture up to the 4th floor.
Yeah, and then that thing. So apparently, when they applied for their funding or whatever, when the series got picked up, the BBC gave them the budget for they called it a presentation show, like a news show, as opposed to like an actual like filmed on location show. So they had this really minuscule budget, so they kind of had to work with that, you know.
Yeah. So it was like no money, but the premise of the show was that it's a show that was made on a shoestring budget. And basically the look and feel, it just feels very Monty Python-ish in itself. And it even had like animation, like in the title and sometimes as the interstitial, like between programs or set pieces.
Right.
And it looked very Terry Gilliam-ish, though it wasn't Terry Gilliam.
No, the opening intro for Rutland, that's very Terry Gilliam-ish. The very, the guy plowing, yeah.
Yeah. So, and Terry Gilliam, as we all know, was the animator for Monty Python and went on to do such movies as The Brothers Grimm and some other movies. No, I just did like his worst movie on purpose. Brazil is probably his best movie.
Yeah,
I know.
Time Bandits.
Yeah, but the other big component that separated or also was a link to Monty Python was Neal Innes, who did musical songs like throughout each episode, and he's known from a band called Bonzo Dog Da Band, which he first worked with Eric Idle in 1967 on a show called Do Not Adjust Your Set. That show also featured Terry Jones and Michael Palin. It was kind of like a kid show, but kind of one of those kid shows where it was just kind of surreal, and adults really liked it as well. So Neal Innes was the other guy who was like an integral part of the show. And did you know like the Bonzo Dog Da Band was featured in the Magical Mystery Tour?
Well, that was because I like that. I really like if you could play a clip from Urban Space. I like that Urban Spaceman. I like that song. That's pretty good.
I'm the urban spaceman, baby. I've got speed. I've got everything I need.
He's also that's Neal Innes, and he's also the in Monty Python, the Holy Grail. He's the musician that follows Sir Robin, and he's the one that sings the Sir Robin's tale.
Bravely bold Sir Robin rode forth from Camelot. He was not afraid to die. Oh, brave Sir Robin.
So no, he wrote for the movie. He wrote the Knights of the Round Table, and Brave Sir Robin. He also appeared in the movie as a guy who gets a cow dropped on him and a guy who gets the Trojan rabbit dropped on him.
Yeah. So I've been to that castle. That's not too far away. It's up by Perth. And I just call it the Monty Python Castle. But it's really weird because it's kind of in the middle of this town, but like the way they filmed it was that like you're in this castle, and however they filmed it, they made it appear like if you watch the movie, it looks like that castle's in the middle of nowhere, but it's actually in the middle of this little village, So it's interesting that you go there. If you go to the castle, Scone Palace, I think. Scone Palace, yeah. Mm-hmm. If you go there, Terry Jones does the narration. He does the audio.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one other feature about the Bonzo Dog Da Band is that they are credited. They had a song that another band picked up on, and whose name, and the song was called Death Cab for Cutie. Guess what band named themselves after that?
I saw that. I saw that clip on YouTube, and I was like, "Wait a minute, yeah." And I was like, before you even told me about it, and then I was like, "It's some other." I was like, "Oh, dude, all right, okay."
That night, Cutie called a cab.
Baby, don't do it.
She left her east side drum so drab.
Exactly. So So, they had like the street creds, like, the Beatles loved them. So Neal Innes was actually called the seventh Python.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he came in the last series. He might have done music throughout, but I think maybe mostly in the last series of Monty Python after John Cleese left.
Right.
He did a lot of the songs. So he and Eric Idle went on, but to do Rutland Weekend Television. But essentially, I was reading this like interview from 1975. It was very much the Eric Idle show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting watching it now. Like I watched that. Like if you watch the first episode, so the first episode starts with that animation that we were talking about. But then that first skit, then there's the Eric Idle is the kind of the guy welcoming you to the program. And then they had that first skit, which is like the talk show, where it's like they're just people just just talking nonsense. I mean, just like the Dirk Dinklebottom, blah, blah, it's like that kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, that would never. That was on TV. That was on a network TV in the UK. It's like that would never fly in the States.
Ham sandwich, bucket and water plastic, Duralex, rubber McFisher's underwear. Plug rapid emulsion, thick custard without sustenance in Kipling Duff geriatric scenery. Maximises press insulating devilment, grunting sapphire clubs incidentally.
So absurd. That first little...
Yeah. I mean, but that's more like the history of British comedy, So it was like... And strangely enough, that they called it Rutland Weekend Television, and they would get letters... Well, first of all, the first episode got more complaint letters than any show on the BBC up until that point. But Neal Innes, in this interview, he said that they would actually get people writing in thinking it was a real television show filmed in Rutland. But it goes with, but it does feel very Monty Python-ish because it's just like, so like in Monty Python, like Graham Chapman and John Cleese would write together. They would do like a good example of one of their sketches is like the Dead Parrot sketch, where they kind of like, they used to call it like in this book I read, thesaurus comedy, where you do like long lists of things.
Those guys were into the word. Those guys were into the words. Yeah, those two were.
And then Terry Jones and Michael Palin were more kind of the physical, sight gag thing. A good example would be like, what's that one where like the guy's playing piano and his arms get cut off and things like that? Yeah. So that's those kind of guys thing. And then Eric Idle would be the only one who would like just write on his own. He would write his own sketches. And a good example of like his sketch would be the nudge nudge wink wink say no more.
Yeah.
Sort of sketch.
He's really good like smarmy TV host kind of character. That was his thing.
Yeah, like he was like a wordsmith as well, because he went to Cambridge along with he was in the Cambridge Review.
Right. That's all.
So yeah, but then you watch the show and it's just like, it's kind of like all the Eric Idle sketches on Monty Python, and then songs with Neal Innes.
Yeah, what's weird is like, cause I'm like, when I grew up, so like we had they would show SCTV on the TV, so like I had the choice of like they would show it up against Saturday Night Live, so you had the choice of like, ooh, do I watch the last half hour of Saturday Night Live or watch SCTV? Because the last half hour.
Oh no, they put it against
shitty,
each other.
Yeah, and but the last half hour of Saturday Night Live was always shitty, So you go, oh, go watch it. So I started watching SCTV, and I think SCTV did a way better job of like kind of setting up its own. Like this doesn't, like when I watched Rutland TV, like it doesn't really set it up as a universe, It just like it's like you don't get the whole this is Rutland TV station other than the name, It's like you don't get any weird like program. I mean, it's just it didn't seem quite all the way to the bill that they were trying to sell for me.
Basically, it's like an okay version. It's not that great, I don't think.
No, that's the thing.
I think like
okay.
sketches went on for like, I was like, I watched about like half of each of the two series, and they would just have like some sketches go on for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of classic sketches. Like, I think what I saw that I liked the most was it was their Christmas special, and George Harrison was on it. And they get like And
The pirate.
he's like,
he was the pirate. Yeah.
yeah, he's building him up like George Harrison is going to come out and sing his songs, sing his hits, and he comes out as a pirate.
30 pieces of parrot.
Good evening.
Hi, Long John.
Yes, very nice, very nice. Yes, you'll be able to sing in a minute, thank you.
I sing?
Yes, in a minute, ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable larynx of the quiet one from the Fab Four will be here to sing you some of his best hits.
I'm not here to sing, I'm here to act.
Act.
Yes.
Here.
Yes, I didn't ride on the dead man's chest. The pirate sketch.
No, I'm sorry, there's no pirate sketch down on the running order, I'm afraid. No pirate sketch down here, see?
Yeah,
like,
that was pretty good. Yeah.
You're here to sing. He's like, no, I'm here to act.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm here for the pirate sketch.
Yeah,
He's
but
like, no, you're here to sing.
Yeah, then there's that whole Harrison Beatles connection. They said, like, even the Beatles were like, they were saying they thought that Monty Python was carrying on their kind of legacy, you know, as far
Yeah, they were
as,
like the Beatles of comedy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so like Harrison, like, you know, bankrolled what was it, Life of Brian and a couple other films, you know, for those guys.
Oh yeah. He had a production company.
Yeah, so I mean, he was.
And then did you see the end of that George Harrison bit? So he comes out as a pirate, but then in the end, he's like, Neal Innes' band is playing like the musical riff to what was his song?
My Sweet Lord. Yeah, that's they started, but then yeah.
So he comes in and he's like, finally we got George Harrison who's gonna sing, and then they do the musical riff of My Sweet Lord, and then he's like, I'm Bob the Pirate.
Yeah, but then
I'm a pirate.
I like to be a pirate. A pirate's life for me. All my friends are pirates and they say on the BBC.
That's such a good twist.
But then they kind of go into it. Then they kind of give in. They go, yeah, we'll start playing a pirate song. Yeah, because they're like, because I thought that's what they're gonna do. Yeah, because they start playing the My Sweet Lord is what they start playing. It's like,
yeah, I thought it was gonna be like one of those cheesy ones where it's just like, okay, well, we gotta have the rock star do like his song. Mm-hmm. no, that was like just a good twist. It got me. I didn't see it coming.
So what was the deal? With you were saying something about Toad the Wet Sprocket?
Oh yeah. So one of my favorite sketches I saw, it was I think it's like a parody of a show that was on. It was called the Old Gay Whistle Test, which is it says here on one of the things it was a parody of a TV show called the Old Gray Whistle Test.
Yeah.
Which is like this whispery sort of prog rock host with a beard, Whispering Bob, I guess they call it. And so Eric Idle is playing like the host of this prog rock show, and the band he had on was named Toad the Wet Sprocket.
And I shall be talking as usual, like this. Wow. But first on Whistle Test, here's our studio group, Toad the Wet Sprocket.
And then in this interview with Eric Idle, he said, I just thought of the most silliest sounding name for a band I could think of. And then like years later, like I guess in the 90s or early 2000s, whenever that band Toad the Wet Sprocket was actually around, he was like driving in LA and he heard like the radio DJ go, next up we have a song from Toad the Wet Sprocket. And he was driving, like he almost like crashed his car because he couldn't believe it. But I mean, that's another social or kind of like a cultural footnote is that they got their name from Rutland Weekend Television.
I wonder if those guys even knew. I mean, they must have somehow.
No, they didn't know. No. Because I was watching it and they went Toad the Wet Sprocket. So immediately I Googled Toad the Wet Sprocket and then on their Wikipedia page it said, well, the Wikipedia page got it wrong. They said they got the name from a Monty Python sketch, and I'm like, no, Rutland Weekend Television.
Yeah. No, sir.
No, Wikipedia.
That's what we're here to correct. Did you correct it? Did you correct the article?
Oh no.
We should go back. I'll go back and do it for you.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. Notation,
dude, and we can cite the podcast now. There you go, dude.
Here. We set the record straight.
Right. It's all about SEO, dude. SEO, man. Wikipedia.
Yeah.
All right.
So another funny thing of that one sketch, and I think those were probably noting two of the funniest sketches on there, is that it was this prog rock thing, and they had Stan Finch, the world's first all-dead singer. So they just had this like dead rock star in a chair, but they would do all those like really cheesy 70s prog rock effects, like zoom cam and just like multi-layer like you would see like in a Can video. And it was just a dead guy, really.
Well, next on Whistle Test, I have with me Stan Fitch, the first all-dead singer. Stan, welcome to Whistle Test. Yeah, right. Well, now Stan's going to do a number for us off his next album called Even Further Beyond the Grave.
But I guess the main thing that brought Rutland Weekend Television was it was the birthplace of what famous thing? You brought it up earlier.
I don't know. You tell me, Harmon.
The
Rutles.
Yes. Yeah. So what later went on to be like I would actually say that this is probably Eric Idle's biggest sort of non-Monty Python thing. Oh, it has to be because he basically did really shitty kind of movies. Sorry, not shitty if you want to be a guest on here in the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's interesting. Yeah, well, you can see, you can definitely see where it's kind of Spinal Tap. That stuff. They got their stuff from the especially in that Rutland, the clip that was on the episode of Rutland TV. Was it the first episode or whatever? The one where the guy's he's sick and he's sick with like Rutles. He's in love or whatever. That was when they had that clip of the Rutles when they showed them like in the TV studio, and that was just like, okay, that's totally where Spinal Tap got their stuff from, but they did a really good job of mocking that kind of 1960s kind of Beatles feel.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's basically the Rutles were the first mockumentary. At least music mockumentary. I can't really think of any documentaries before that.
They did. I mean, Woody Allen did that. That Take the Money and Run. I'm sure other people had done it before, but that was like Woody Allen had done the kind of the mockumentary. But like, yeah, I think the Rutles was kind of. It was pretty successful for a mockumentary kind of thing.
But it kind of fit into the format because, like, Neal Innes would do a lot of popular parodies of musicians of the day. Like, he had, like, this Gary Glitter character, Stoop Solo, and then he would do, like, they did, like, a Tommy parody. I think they called it Tommy. And he would do, like, Bob Dylan's.
All the prophets of doom can always find room in a world full of worry and fear.
So I guess it just kind of fit in that sort of cred that they did the Beatles as well.
Yeah, I mean, I actually wrote down some actual notes for this. Yeah, it was interesting in that same skit. In that same skit, when they're talking about the joke. So the joke was that people were in love, and then they transferred. Yeah. That got into the Rutles thing. But what's really interesting in that is they talk about. They said, "Oh, this is mentioned in the Lancet," which is actual like a for real UK publication. That's like the biggest medical UK publication was the Lancet, and they talked about this disease. But they made him in that same skit. They made a big reference to Donny Osmond. Which I thought was, it was like, there's a lot of people suffering from Donny Osmond love disease, but then they also said Gary Glitter too, so they dropped Gary Glitter in there, and it was like, ooh, hello.
Yeah, pre-pedophile, or at least pre-knowing he's a pedophile.
Yeah, pre-knowing he's a pedophile. And then what was interesting, the other thing I was to say was that I don't know if it was in that episode, or one of the other episodes. Is Eric Idle's American accent is pretty bad. Like they try to do like an American chat show, and everybody's accents are just really just not good. For doing it. Well, I even from Monty Python, I remember watching those, and just like every time somebody tried to do an American accent, just wasn't that. It was so over the top, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So, how it came to be though? So after they did it on Rutland Weekend Television, Eric Idle would be asked to be like the host of Saturday Night Live, and one of the times he was host of Saturday Night Live, they showed that clip of the Rutles on Saturday Night Live.
I feel good, I feel bad, I feel happy, I feel sad. You think I'm in love? I must be in love.
And he told Lorne Michaels, I'm thinking of doing like a BBC, like a 90-minute special on the Rutles. And Lorne said to him, like, why don't you just do it for NBC? You'll get more money.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
So Lorne ended up pitching it to NBC, and they did it. So I think initially it was like a 60-minute sort of TV special, and they got Gary Weiss, who used to be like direct all these shorts on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. He was like the director of it, and Eric Idle co-directed it. And what I thought was cool, like looking back, all these like really cool cameos. Like actually, who had a cameo in it is Senator Al Franken.
Well, he was kind of a star on. He was on Saturday Night Live, so he had a cameo in that, but he had a starring role on Saturday Night Live for.
Not a starring role. He was just a writer back then.
Well, he was a writer, but but then do you remember then when they had the Franken and Davis stuff? Remember Franken and Davis?
Yeah. But that wasn't like a starring thing. That was like he wouldn't be considered a primetime player.
No,
at the time.
No, he was. He was kind of a writer, but yeah, it was weird because like that was one of the things I was watching when I was a kid. Whenever they showed the Franken and Davis stuff, I was like, I don't want to. I remember that being the low point of the show, going, I want to watch this. Sorry.
Yeah, but he's pretty funny in this. Yeah.
Sorry, sorry, Senator Franklin. Yeah. Just saying.
He's a good. Yeah. Don't say anything bad in case we want him on the show.
No. I just apologize. I stated my opinion and then said I'm sorry for thinking that, but not really. I'm not sorry for. I was a kid, dude.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Okay,
so, so it was. I think it was like 1978. I think is when it might be 77 or 78. They did the NBC special. All you need is cash.
From these streets, very close to the cavern Rutland, came the fabulous Rutland sound, created by the Prefab Four, Dirk, Nasty, Stig, and Barry, who created a musical legend that will last a lunchtime.
Yeah. So Neal Innes played Ron, who was like the John Lennon character, right. And Eric Idle played Paul. And surprisingly, Eric Idle wrote "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life," but he didn't write a single song for it. It was like Neal Innes wrote like all the songs, and I think he wrote about 30 of them or so.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's like.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, what? No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, no, dude, you can still hear, they'll play, I will hear on BBC, like Cheese and Onions. They'll still play Cheese and Onions, every once in a while, as a real song.
I have always thought in the back of my mind, cheese and onions.
They'll still play it on the radio, like it's a normal, regular song.
So
cheese and
and the funny, the songs, some of them are good. During their innocent days, instead of "I Want to Hold Your Hand," they did "Hold My Hand."
What was the one they did? What was it instead of "Help"? It was "Stop." Was it "Stop"?
Ouch!
Ouch! Ouch! You're breaking my heart. Ouch! I'm falling apart. Ouch! 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 Ouch!
Yeah, so one time, Eric Idle and Neal Innes were hanging out with George Harrison and Ringo Starr. I think at George Harrison's house maybe, and the two of them, Ringo Starr and George, broke into a version of "Ouch."
Oh my god.
But so the Beatles, so there was someone who owned the Beatles back catalog, and they actually tried to
Michael Jackson.
No. They actually tried to sue the Rutles, and they had to prove that Neal Innes, when he was writing the songs, wasn't listening to Beatles songs at the same time, that he was doing it from memory of listening to Beatles songs.
Really?
And Yeah, it was ridiculous, but he won the case. And the only one, so, they're friends with George Harrison and Ringo, and they would run the songs by them to make sure it's not too close to what they have.
Yeah.
And the only one was a version of Get Back that they called Get Up and Go.
Get up and go. Yeah.
Get up and go.
Yeah, get up and go. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the only one where they go, you might want to rewrite it. And but the irony is, later in life, Neal Innes actually sued Oasis, who Oasis was always known for taking Beatles riffs, but they actually sued them for taking a Rutles riff.
Really? Which one
yeah.
was that?
So, oh God, I'm gonna have to Google it.
Yeah,
but
dude.
Come
prepared.
You want me to Google it?
It's all right.
Yeah, I know.
The kids probably want to know.
That's what Google's for. Yeah. But just note that Neal Innes tried to sue Oasis.
All right, you'll edit this part.
I don't know if he won or not won, but Oasis was taking secondhand Beatles stuff from the Rutles.
From the Rutles. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. But there's great cameos in there, George Harrison's in there, Mick Jagger's in there, Belushi, Bill Murray. Bill Murray plays Bill Murray the K.
Yeah, Bill Murray the K. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because who's the Beatles DJ?
It was Murray.
That guy?
It was Murray the K.
Murray the K.
He was some New York DJ who just started hanging out with the Beatles, and he started calling himself the fifth Beatle. Yeah, Murray the K.
Yeah. I think he was the first New York DJ to really give him a lot of airtime.
Come on, Flushing Animals. What do you want to know? What do you want to hear? If you call me up at 555-2160 and say you want to hear anything but the Rutles, I'm gonna come looking for you.
So he played Bill Murray the K, and Dan Aykroyd's in it, and Gilda Radner. I think Belushi plays a promoter, and Belushi plays their former promoter, Ron Decline.
Decline had a reputation as a hard man. His only weak spot was dishonesty. Anyone was free to inspect his books, but no one could find his accounts. He struck terror into the hearts of his subordinates.
And Al Franken and Tom Davis are his heavies, his bodyguards. And they all wear white turtlenecks. And Al Franken has a big Jew fro at the time.
Well, that's going to be another episode. Franken and Davis wrote a movie. It came out in the 70s. That should be a whole.
Oh yeah.
That'll be another episode, dude. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's about Wisconsin, dude. It's all about. Yeah. It's kind of like.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Was it their version of Strange Brew?
It was their version of
with the Mulkenzie brothers.
Of Days of Confused, dude. It was like that.
Oh really?
So, yeah. So so that's another episode. That's a teaser. I'm dropping.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. So we can watch that. That's it. The kids will like that. Yeah?
No. It sounds good. It sounds good.
Yeah, okay.
So what I like is they're interviewing his manager, and it's so what did you like about the Beatles? I think it was his wife about his manager, and who I think it was Leggy McSomebody.
Right. Yeah.
And it's I like their trousers. They're just very. That was an ongoing joke. That was the big appeal of the Rutles.
Well, what did he like?
Well, the trousers.
What about their trousers?
Well, they were very tight.
Oh, their manager Leggy. In one of the credits, he's credited for discovering the Rutles.
Yeah.
And then he wrote the biography about discovering the Rutles called A Cellar Full of Boys.
Yeah, there you go, dude.
But but here's something I didn't even know until last week, that in 2002 Eric Idle did a sequel to the Rutles.
Really? Okay.
Called Can't Buy Me Lunch.
And how'd that go?
Well, have you ever heard of it?
No.
Oh my God, it's pretty bad.
Have you watched it? Really?
I watched half of it. I could only find half of it on I think it was Vimeo. But it's basically the same movie, and they're just using outtakes that they didn't use in the original Rutledge thing, and there's more famous people. Basically, just went to like his famous friends and did like interviews with them, like Steve Martin and Carrie Fisher's in it.
Okay, dude. All right. Well, she was married to
Paul Simon.
Paul Simon, yeah. And then
wasn't she?
Yeah. But then she was also boning some other she was like in that whole crew.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's really awful.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So anyways, it's like the Rutles place in history. It's like the first mockumentary. And it had all these great cameos from the original SNL. But strangely, when it first aired on NBC, it got very low ratings.
Oh, okay, yeah. So what year did that go out?
I think it was like 1977.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. I'll try to.
Or 78. Maybe it was on. It tells me on Wikipedia, All You Need Is Cash was on 1978.
Okay. So I was
but that's Wikipedia.
I got sucked into a time loop. I was trying to look up Al Franken's movie. I know Al Franken and Tom Davis did a movie about Minnesota. That I will find it. I will find it, dude.
Now you think of the Coen brothers?
No, dude. This is like before. It was before Minnesota was cool, dude.
Oh right, okay, gotcha. Yeah. But anyways, all the Beatles really loved the Rutles.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well,
the only one they thought that might have gave him a cold shoulder was Paul, who didn't think it was too funny.
Well, Paul.
But then Eric Idle said his wife Linda liked it, so then he kind of came around to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't sure how John was going to react, but John was pretty funny, and he liked it, and Yoko even liked it.
Yeah.
And it's like the John Lennon character in Rutles. He ends up getting married to who would be considered the Yoko Ono character, who was Hitler's daughter.
Chastity, a simple German girl whose father had invented World War II.
Yeah, the John Lennon character marries a Nazi.
Yeah, that's it. There you go, dude. Actually, so the Rutles stuff came out of that Rutland Weekend TV, which is like you don't really know about Rutland, because I didn't really know that much about it until you were telling me about it, the Rutles thing was like way bigger than the TV show, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, going back to Rutland Weekend Television, and I guess, here we are almost on the wrap-up of this, is that its impact, though you might not have heard of Rutland Weekend Television, its impact is, first of all, it probably, influenced the style of Second City TV, and I'd almost go as far as influencing Alan Partridge.
Yeah, I think so. And I want to bring up one other one because I was watching this. If you ever seen, have you seen the Fernwood Tonight, which is like actually because it's really weird because Fernwood Tonight debuted like a year after this show, and that was that was Martin Mull and Fred Willard.
Oh, Fred Willard.
And it was the same thing. They were like, this is a small town TV talk show. I think the thing that bugs me about the Rutland thing is that they didn't do a good job of if you just watch the show and you don't know anything about it, you'll never get this is a small town TV show. You don't get that from just watching it,
Well, I think if you lived in the UK, you probably would, because Rutland is an actual place, and I think that's part of the joke that it's like going, Rutland, and it's Rutland Weekend Television, and you would get that joke, much like when Alan Partridge and the second series of Alan Partridge when he's doing morning radio in Norwich.
Right.
Good morning, Norwich. And that's like a crappy small town. That's like Rutland is. I heard it's beautiful.
Well, I mean, I do live in the UK, like you say. But I did know Rutland was a real place. But no, if you just watch the show, though, I don't know anything about it. You just watch the show. you don't get, like, on all these other shows, like SCTV did really good with it, and then the Fernwood Tonight was really good with it. They kind of reminded, they reminded you, like, hey, we're watching, this is a small town TV show. You got reminders of that all the time. And that Rutland TV, you never, like, the first episode is, starts off with the intro, and then it has the guy, drinking champagne, okay, we're having a party, we're opening the studio, and then there's that first sketch, which is all nonsense, the one we were just talking about, where it's just like the guy going bingle dingle bottom, which is like, it's interesting, and it's like kind of Dada in a way, and it's really cool, but that has no, that doesn't have anything to do with a small town TV show, I mean,
right.
Yeah.
So it's just like an absurdist sketch within this framework of a small town TV show.
Exactly. So
yeah.
They never explored. I think, unlike these other shows that came later, I don't think they explored it enough. Which I think, because I really liked SCTV, and I really liked and Fernwood Tonight, man. If you go back and watch there's some pretty funny stuff.
It stands the test of time.
It does, yeah, it does. It stands the test of time because they point out constantly, we're just a small town TV, so it's like
right.
So everything that's just cheap and doesn't work, they go, that's the way it goes, and. I think SCTV was really good at that, because SCTV is also really good at, because they would play their promos for their upcoming shows that would never, they'd never play and stuff. And and SCTV
great cast and all that. I mean, I think this one, not only, I think it's more country centric, like a lot of jokes are A, just purely British and you might not get them, but B, it's just like a little bit dated, because they're parodying rock stars that you don't even know about, and there's like one episode where there's a lot of jokes about the movie Jaws.
That's gonna be it. Well, I mean, I'm not like super Mr. UK guy, but I have been here for a while, so I'd like to think that I kind of get a lot of the references. But even just watching that show, it's just like, but there's nothing. Like it goes back to my problem of they never really established this is a small town. I watched a couple, one of the episodes where they have the camera girl kind of go out and she has to host the show. Did you see that one? Yeah, where it was like the camera lady. They have nobody else, and so they make her go out and sit in the chair and kind of host the show. And that kind of, to me, that's what they needed more. They needed way more of that kind of stuff, Well,
there's a couple it was an ongoing gag where in a few episodes in a row where they would have auditions, it would open with audition to be the host.
Good evening and welcome to Rutland Weekend Television. We are the Ricochet brothers, Tony and Nigel Ricochet. That's spelled Ricochet, but pronounced Ricochet. And we are your hosts for tonight.
So that's the kind of thing I would like to see more of that in there. I think that.
So it was kind of like a cross between we're a small town show to here's a bunch of surreal sort of Eric Idle sketches.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the voice kind of just went back and forth of But so it's not like a perfect TV show, but again, the impact is shows like SCTV and Alan Partridge and Fernwood Tonight, and then of course the Rutles, which became the first musical mockumentary, which after that came Spinal Tap and a zillion other things to follow. So it's kind of like Monty Python light. And then went on to be the Rutles. So that's his place in history.
It is.
That's his place in Comedy History 101.
We should ring a bell. You need to ring a bell every time we
No, I have a sting.
No, the stinger. Wait, stop talking.
No, you'll just notice when I just said that there was a sound effect on my voice, a reverb.
Okay, good. All right, good.
Which I put it in post.
We wrapped it all back up at the end, dude. So it's all about comedy history.
So be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. Tell them where they can subscribe. All the subscribe
to us on iTunes and Google Play, and also, I guess we need to figure out where we're going to host this. At RightClickSave.com.
Yeah. So, and if you have ideas for shows, you could tweet us or questions or anything we might have really kind of fucked up on facts and stuff, you could tweet me at Harmon Leon on Twitter or via my website, harmonleon.com.
And I'm Scott Colonico at Scott Colonico or at scottcolonico.com.
And that's it, people. I read this interview, old interview, Eric Idle said he's never going to release this show on YouTube because it was a bad
period of his
point
life,
in his life. Though I Googled it and it's available on DVD.
Yeah, it's there. Oh, is it? Okay. All right.
It's there. It's out there. And all the episodes are on YouTube, so you can watch the entire 2 series of it. So anyways, thanks a lot for tuning in, and we will talk to you later.
All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
You're stupid. Everybody's so stupid.
Good thing about doing comedy in Russia, you have captured audience.
You're stupid. Everybody's so stupid.
Comedy History 101.